I left home for 4 days, and I came back a different woman. Not because I went to a spa, not because I was on vacation, and honestly, not even because of the mastermind that I attended. It was because for the first time in as long as I can remember, I had to let go. I had to trust other people. I had to stop trying to control every little detail. And what surprised me the most is that everything turned out okay. Actually, it even turned out better than I imagined. This week changed the way I see myself and the way that I see my family and what it really means to balance it all. Welcome back to Struggle and Strength Moms Balancing It All with Nikki. If you've ever had to leave town for work or a conference or even just a girls' weekend, you know the trip doesn't actually begin when you get on the airplane. It starts weeks before with the list, the schedules, the packing, the reminders, the backup plans, and then the backup plans for the backup plans. Because while everyone else is thinking about the trip, you're thinking about everyone else's lives while you're gone. The kids, your husband, how everything's going to work. And this week gave me one of the biggest realizations I've had in a very long time. This wasn't just any trip. I was flying to Arizona for a mastermind event that I had been looking forward to for months. I mean, I booked this thing probably a good 5 months ago. But when I was going to book it, I realized that if the slight chance that my daughter made it to the USA National Championship for her diving, the semifinal event, it would be this week. So at the exact same time, I mean, kind of towards the latter part of it, and also this week was my husband's birthday. And of course it was Father's Day. And so I told my husband when I went to go book it, I was like, "Are you like, is this gonna be okay? Should I go? Should I not go?" And he's like, "No, no, no, go. Like, we'll handle it." But then I didn't realize that my parents were gonna be out of town and that she had to be at her diving event in Orlando literally when I was in Arizona. And then it's like, what are we gonna do with these boys? So my parents had to fly back in to Texas to stay with my boys. And before I even had my own suitcase packed, I was trying to make sure that everyone else could run while I was gone. Like, I packed my daughter's suitcase, we had everything ready for her trip. I had to go grocery shopping to make sure that the boys had all the food, my parents had all the things that they need. And let's start off with right before I left, like, the morning of the day my departure, Monday morning. I had to take my husband to work at 5:30 in the morning. Not only that, but of course, I then had to wake up the kids because I didn't wanna leave them at home, and I also scheduled a workout so that I could be, of course, awesome looking when I got there. That was at 7 o'clock in the morning. So I went to drop my husband off, then go get gas, then do my workout, and then I had to pick up the kids' allergy medicine. And then it's like all these things, right? Like I had meetings after that, and then I decided to leave in the middle of the afternoon, even though my flight wasn't until the evening. So I could go pick him up from the airport. He could drop me off at the I mean, sorry, pick him up from work. So he could drop me off at the airport. Now you might be wondering, like, why did I go to the airport 5 hours early for a 7:15 p.m. flight? Well, because starting at, like, 3 o'clock, my daughter had diving, and then my son had piano, and then my daughter and my son had drums and guitar at the exact same time. My husband had to leave 2, take 1, like, it was a disaster. I think I talked about this in my last episode. Activities stacked one on top of the other, and there wasn't going to be an opportunity for me to go to the airport. Sure, like, I could have called an Uber. But I'm not really somebody that likes to just, like, waste money. Like, if there's a way that I can figure out how to do it, we're gonna do it. And so I figured, "You know what? I'll just get to the airport early. I researched, made sure that I could check in my luggage. Apparently, DFW is amazing, and we can check in our luggage at any point in time. With American, other airports, you can't do it any more than 4 hours before. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the lounge. I can do some work, not a big deal, answer emails, have some fun. Like, I'm okay. It sounded like a great plan. And then I went to go to board my flight, and the pilot and the flight attendants were sitting in the, like, waiting area, and I was like, "This doesn't look good." Like, "Our plane is there, why are you out here?" They're like, "Yeah, you probably know more than we do." And I was like, "Oh, no, this doesn't sound great." Yeah. So it started off, the flight was delayed. So let me just tell you, I hopped from lounge to lounge to lounge. So I started off at the Admiral's Lounge, then I went to the Centurion Lounge, then I went back to the Admiral's Lounge in the gate, like the terminal that I was in. Then I went to the gate, went to go, obviously get on board. And then they told me, the flight attendants were like, you might as well just go back to the lounge. So then I went back to the lounge and I waited and I waited and I waited. Now, of course, there's food and drinks and stuff in the lounge, but I mean, I was supposed to get in at like 8 o'clock p.m. Phoenix time. And I was sharing a house with four other women. There was only one woman that was there at that time when I was going to get in. So, of course, like, and I don't know these women at all. I've never met them. I know of them. They're in the same program, like, same community that I'm in, but I've never actually physically met them. Some of them are coming from Australia and St. Louis and California, like all over the place. We've never talked on the phone, like nothing. So it's a little scary. And then, of course, my flight gets delayed. So I'm waiting and I'm waiting, I'm waiting. And I meet very nice people in the lounge, at the gate, like all over the place. But instead of landing around 8 o'clock when I was supposed to get in, we were delayed for 3 hours. So our flight didn't leave until DFW until after 10 p.m. So I was at the airport for 7 hours or 8 hours. What? No, what time did I get there? I got there at 2. I was there for 8 hours at the lounges. And then when I got in, I was so exhausted. And of course, I probably had a little too much to drink because I didn't have enough food in me. So I had to stop at the lounge, get some more food. So I went to like 5 different lounges. And then by the time I got my car, it was almost midnight. And then I had to drive. So it was like a 30-minute drive, and I'm in a place called Fountain Hills, Arizona, where it is pitch black. Like, they don't allow night lights at the nighttime. So I'm literally the only person on the road driving right now. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like, please, please just let me get to this Airbnb. And then when I get to the Airbnb, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've never met these people," although there's only one person there, and of course, she's like, "I'm going to bed at, like, 8 o'clock." So, I'm walking into this rando house by myself and, like, hoping and praying that I'm gonna be alive in the morning. I'll admit, it was just a little scary. Like, I laid down in my bed and the air started coming on, and I thought, "Oh my gosh, are they pumping me full of, like, sleeping gas or something right now?" Because I had no idea if I was even at the right house. There was no one I could confirm with. But here's the interesting part. None of those things were actually what stressed me out the most. It wasn't the delayed flight because I enjoyed my time in the lounges. It wasn't driving through Phoenix after midnight, pitch black with nobody else. And it wasn't even staying with strangers that I didn't know in a house where I didn't know if I was gonna be alive in the morning. It was everything that was happening back home. Would everybody remember where they needed to be? Did my daughter pack everything that she needed for nationals? Sure, we had her luggage packed, but she then also had to pack her swimsuits and stuff too and her dive bag. Did she remember all of her warm-ups, her competition suits? Would my parents know where the boys had to be, or did they get in on time? Would everyone get where they needed to go? Could my husband handle being in 2 different places at the same time and my kids be okay? People see moms carrying backpacks, purses, groceries. But what they don't see is the invisible backpack we carry every single day. The one that's filled with everyone's schedules, everyone's medications, everyone's appointments, everyone's activities, everyone's needs. We're not just carrying our own lives, we're carrying pieces of everyone else's too. I've worked really hard this past year to become healthier. I've changed the way I eat. I've prioritized strength training. I've been sleeping better. I even found hormone balancing drops that stopped my night sweats. But this week, and I'll admit, I stopped taking the drops for the last month because I wanted to see, like, are they actually helping me or not? And this week, let me tell you, I needed them because every night I was drenched with night sweats. They came back. And it reminded me of something that stress doesn't always show up as anxiety. Sometimes it shows up physically. Our bodies keep score. And even though everything looked fine from the outside, my body was reminding me just how much pressure I was carrying. And sleep is so important, and I barely got any of it this week. Sunday night, I couldn't sleep because I was leaving on Monday and there's all these moving parts. Then when I got in Monday night, I couldn't sleep because I was terrified of where I was at. And also, I was worried about the next day when my parents had to come in and if their flight was delayed like mine and if they wouldn't get in, then what was my husband going to do the next day on Wednesday when he had to leave and the boys would be here home by themselves. It was just like a cascade of events. And then what if I didn't get home on time and they had to be at their activities? Oh my gosh. Then something unexpected happened. The mastermind was incredible. I was surrounded by women who were making 6 and 7 figures, building amazing businesses, women who were so successful and confident and kind and encouraging. And they spoke life into me. They complimented me. They believed in me. And maybe for the first time, I actually believed them. This week, I started seeing myself differently, not because someone finally told me I was enough or that I finally believed that I was. It was because I started actually feeling that I was enough, feeling that I was confident and beautiful and capable. And it had nothing to do with makeup. I didn't even bring makeup. I totally forgot, which I don't wear it anyways, but I have these itty bitty tiny like Mary Kay travel ones. And so I would quickly put on like a little bit of mascara and like I always wear like lip gloss or chapstick, but I had like a little bit of lip color with me as well. And that's what I put on when I forgot that I didn't bring anything. And I don't have the most fancy clothes. All my clothes are, like, at least 10, 15 years old. They're not from high-end stores, they're from, like, Marshalls and TJ Maxx. And I don't have a whole lot of accomplishments, like, not like that these women, they've built businesses from the ground up, making the amount that I'm making as an employee. It came from realizing that I belonged in the room. And then Thursday morning came. My original flight wasn't getting me home until late in the afternoon. The boys had soccer that evening. With all the recent flight delays, I started worrying, like, what if this flight gets delayed too? So I called the airline the night before, asked if I could switch to an earlier flight. They said, "Yeah, you can do same day." Asked if my I could still get my bag checked if I didn't get on the standby. They said yes. And then I called the rental car company, asked if I could drop the car off at 3 o'clock in the morning if I could get on the 5 a.m. flight. They said yes. So before I went to bed at 9:30, I set an alarm for 12:15. I changed and then I woke up at 12:15, changed my flight, and then I realized, "Oh gosh, I need to be leaving the house at 2:30 in the morning," which means I only have like an hour or 2 to sleep. So I only got like maybe 1 or 2 hours of sleep that night. got everything packed, left the Airbnb at 2:30 in the morning. I didn't even get to say goodbye to these women. Like, I just made this decision before even telling them, and of course, they were all asleep. So I felt terrible I didn't get to say goodbye. I returned my rental car in a dark, empty parking lot that honestly made me so nervous. My heart was pounding at that point in time, but I kept going. And when I got to that tram station and I saw other people there, I finally took a deep breath. I made it. And even though it was so stressful, I still had time throughout the day to unwind, unpack, catch up, and I decided to still run my 5K trail while my boys were at their soccer later that day. And it finally hit me. Everything worked. My daughter had an amazing competition. She qualified for all her events. It's getting me all emotional how it all worked. My husband handled Orlando. My parents handled the boys took care of the house and the dog, and the house didn't fall apart. No one forgot anything major. Everyone stepped up. For so long, I've believed that balancing it all meant making sure I personally carried everything, the whole load. But maybe balancing it all isn't about carrying everything. Maybe it's about building a family that's capable of carrying things together. Maybe the reason everything worked is because I finally gave everyone the opportunity to do their part. When I left for Arizona, I was going there to learn how to become a better entrepreneur. I thought I was going to learn about business. Instead, I came home learning something much bigger. I came home realizing I had become a better mom, not because I did more, but because I finally trusted the people around me to do more. And maybe, oof, that's why I came home a different mom. Wow, this is emotional. So thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Struggle and Strength Moms Balancing It All with Nikki. If this episode spoke to you, please do me a favor. Share it with another mom who feels like she's carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. Because I have a feeling she'll understand every word of this story. And until next time, remember, you were never meant to carry it all alone.